Welcome everybody to the practice report for the 2019 Belgian Grand Prix. Formula 1 is back, everyone. And can I just say, start off this video by saying, how lovely that is. I am so happy that Formula 1 is back in town, and I'm so happy we're back at the Belgian Grand Prix. It's the first ever live race I went to back in 2015. Brilliant memories for me, but also just watching it on TV. What a circuit this is. I was watching FP1 and FP2 this morning to obviously help me with this video. And the circuit itself, just seeing the cars through... I mean, maybe this is because we've had a bit of a break and I just want to see some F1 again. But honestly, this circuit is something special. And to be honest with you, the next 3 or 4 tracks we've got lined up are some real gems in the Formula 1 2019 calendar. But you don't really care about that. What you care about is practice. What went down in the first 2 sessions, what went down on Friday leading in to Saturday for the Belgian Grand Prix qualifying. We'll start off, as we always do, with FP1, but because this is a new kind of format we're testing out again this weekend, or tested out over the last couple of weekends, we're going to be doing the top 10 and the bottom 10 in both sessions. So plenty of detail for you, well, hopefully plenty of detail for you in today's video. Let's start logically with FP1 and let's start with the top 10. As predicted in my video yesterday, which, you know what, this doesn't happen very often, I got it right. I actually got a prediction right and Ferrari looked to be the team to beat. Disclaimer, you shouldn't read into practice. We've found this out many times this year, but more often than not, practice sessions on a particular weekend can be fairly helpful to judge the overall pace, but shouldn't be taken as gospel. Just throwing that out there, ladies and gents. Right, let's look at some times. Quickest overall FP1, Sebastian Vettel. 2 tenths in front of his teammate Charles Leclerc. Both Ferraris, strong session for them, not many issues. Thumbs up from me. Max Verstappen was P3, and perhaps more impressively in the first session, Alex Albon, P4 for Red Bull, only, well, just under a tenth behind Max Verstappen. Really good job from Alex in the first session. Didn't quite go as well in the second session, but considering this was the first time he hopped into a Red Bull, really good job from the Thai driver. It was the 2 Mercedes in P5 and P6, Bottas just having the edge over Hamilton. Stroll was P7, Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault, P8, P9 was Sergio Perez, so both Racing Point cars making it into the top 10, and Carlos Sainz in the McLaren rounded out the top 10 for the morning session. Moving on further down the field, P11, Nico Hülkenberg. Wonder what his mindset is going to be this weekend. We know Ocon is joining Renault next year. Hülkenberg is without a seat currently for next year. I'm confident he will find somewhere, but obviously for the next few Grand Prix, he's going to, well, be aware he needs to perform, to put himself in the shop window, to present himself in a positive light for other teams. But I think he'll be fine. I think he'll find a seat for next year. He's definitely good enough, in my opinion. Lando Norris behind his teammate in the morning session, P12 for him. McLaren looking fairly strong in the first session, not so much in the second session. Kimi Raikkonen, who was so-called injured for this particular weekend, he seems to be okay. P13 for him. Grosjean P14, Giovinazzi P15, Kevin Magnussen P16. Just want to mention the 2 Haas cars running the updated spec this weekend, but Grosjean has said this morning that he might revert back to the old spec again in Monza. Then came Danny Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, those 2 in P17 and 18, not a strong running for Toro Rosso. And rounding out the final grid, P19, Nicholas Latifi ahead of Robert Kubica. Question marks there on how that's been able to happen, but it's practice, so don't read into it. Afternoon session then, Belgium FP2. Ferrari 1-2 once again, but it was this time round Charles Leclerc who had the edge of the Ferrari teammates, 6 tenths in front of Sebastian Vettel. Again, not really any major mistakes from either driver in the entire session. Vettel's lap, whilst again, no spins, no real major mistakes, as I just mentioned, his quickest lap was a little scruffy. So definitely time to gain there, and it's really difficult to tell which of the 2 Ferrari drivers is going to have the edge come qualifying. So that's quite fun, can't deny there, but I think what is clear is Ferrari are going to be the team to beat. A little bit like Bahrain. I think this weekend might be like. Bottas was ahead of Hamilton again in FP2. Mercedes a little bit stronger this time round, but Red Bull trying something a little bit different in the afternoon session, so don't count them out just yet. Sergio Perez continuing Racing Point's strong performance in P5. Max Verstappen was P6. On the medium tyre though, that's something of note that I actually got the tyre selection right this particular weekend. Kimi Raikkonen was P7. Again, that injury doesn't seem to be affecting him whatsoever. Most wins of any driver at Spa does Kimi Raikkonen have. The Spa Master, I expect him to go well this weekend. Lance Stroll P8, Daniel Ricciardo P9, and Alex Albon 4/10 off his teammate on the quicker tyre, finishing P10. I'm a little bit surprised at that particular result, but you never know what's going on behind closed doors. And again, it's his first chance to do long runs for Red Bull, so give him a little bit of time to sort of get himself accustomed with the team, accustomed with the car. So I'm hoping come race day, I mean there's a whole host of drivers who have penalties, about half the grid pretty much, but he's going to be starting at the back with those guys, so it's going to be interesting what he can do in the race. Bottom 10 in the second practice session was Carlos Sainz, who finished P11, ahead of teammate Lando Norris once again in the afternoon session. Romain Grosjean was P12, again ahead of his teammate Kevin Magnussen, quite comfortably actually in the afternoon session. Hulkenberg P13, behind his teammate again. Danny Kvyat P14, showing a little bit more pace in that Toro Rosso. Lando Norris P15, Giovinazzi P16, Alfa Romeo seem to be again in that little bit of no man's land where put a good lap together, they can be comfortably in the top 10, but maybe on overall pace a little bit further down. So still yet to see what they can really do. Pierre Gasly down in P17. Again, a little bit like with Albon. Give him a little bit of time just to get used to that car, but I think with both of them, Albon and Gasly, they're really going to have to hit the ground running to try and secure seats for next season. Kevin Magnussen P18, not too inspiring for K-Mag. News this morning sort of broke that he's going to be remaining with the team next year. Again, nothing completely concrete, but Gunter Steiner pretty much confirming, saying Kevin is under contract. It's very likely we'll keep him, so I think that's pretty much confirmed. But the last two in the second sector, or the second section, sorry, George Russell P19 and Robert Kubica again slowest of all in P20. Right, that's your times. Again, can't read into it too much, but I think there's some more interesting things that happened over today, the two sessions. Engine issues, particularly on the Mercedes car. Lewis Hamilton in the first session came to a halt, turned out to be a throttle issue, but there were a few murmurings. It wasn't going too smoothly with the new engine. Mercedes and Red Bull are both carrying two completely new power units this particular weekend. Second session, Sergio Perez comes to a halt. This, again, there's a beautiful shot of the engine with the engine cover falling off of the Racing Point of Lance Stroll in the first session. But Perez, with that new engine, slowing down in the second session. Again, we don't know whether that's engine related or something else, but it didn't sound too healthy, whatever it was. So Mercedes, I think, will be a little bit cautious into tomorrow in the final practice session and into qualifying, but the pace seems to be there, so I don't think they'll be too upset. I think the biggest surprise for me so far in these first couple of sessions, we've seen plenty of mistakes from drivers, especially through turn one. That seems to be catching out a few guys. It caught out Danny Kvyat, Robert Kubica, for sure. I know those two in the first session. But I think the biggest surprise for me is the pace of Red Bull. This has been historically over the past couple of years. I know Verstappen got a podium last year, but historically a circuit that hasn't suited their car too well. And yet they seem to have been, so far this morning, again, don't read into practice, but the underlying numbers suggest that they have a similar sort of pace to Mercedes. Again, that could be a load of nonsense. It's practice. But the form they took into the summer break, it appears to me they're continuing with that, which is brilliant. And whilst Ferrari appear to be the team to beat, it could be a really interesting fight for the podium. So it's all to play for at the front. In the midfield, to be honest with you, it's anyone's guess, which is brilliant. I mean, Racing Point appear to be best of the rest. Sergio Perez hasn't scored points since the 4th round of the championship in Azerbaijan. Yes, I'm just as surprised as you by that statistic, but it's been a real drought for him. He looks good and on for points, but Stroll's going to have an engine penalty, and if this issue with Perez is bad enough, he might as well. So stay tuned tomorrow for the qualifying report. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.